Alright, well, I didn't really feel like doing a video, but I figured it was going to take me too long to type it out to give you guys an update, so this seems to be the better option because it's much quicker when I'm talking. The last few days have been really rough. I've been pretty inconsolable. Last week, I've started having some very, very negative thought patterns about myself that up to this point my internal dialogue has not been this severe, and this is the worst probably that it's been. So I think this last failed cycle, because at this point I have tried everything. I don't think there's one thing that I have not tried. Now, I haven't been to an intuitive healer down in Byron Bay who costs like $500. I haven't been to see her to unblock my chakra. That's the only thing I haven't done. Even though my acupuncturist says that she's helping with my energy and unblocking my chakras anyways, but people still think I have a blocked chakra, so that's the only thing I haven't done. So I lied. There's one thing I haven't tried. But at this point, I've tried pretty much everything that I possibly could, and when that failed, I think that the grief and the bitter disappointment has just been too much to bear. So last week, I pretty much was having these thoughts that Jared should probably move on with his life, and that he doesn't deserve to go through this. So I didn't tell him that initially last week, and then finally yesterday I broke down and told him that he deserves better, that the only reason we're going through all of this is because of me, and that he should probably move on. And unfortunately, he didn't take me very seriously. I think he thought I was joking, which I wasn't. I'm not. It's been very, very hard because I think up until this point, I've just been focused on what I needed to do with each step, each failed step. I know that's a word that I shouldn't use, but I've been using it over and over in my head. I go, fail, 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 fail. No matter what you do, you fail. And so I, with this cycle, just lost it. And I was like, I am a complete failure. I am deformed. No matter what I do, nothing works. I am the problem. I have the issues. Everything's my fault. And this internal dialogue is not something that I've had fleeting thoughts like this before, but this internal dialogue is not something that I've let get out of control, and the last few days it has gone completely out of control. So yesterday morning, my friend Naomi called me, the one that got hyperstimulation, and I was in bed crying, and I didn't want to answer the phone, and for some reason I answered it. I don't know why. And she's been through and had all the same feelings that I had, and she was talking about how destructive of a thought pattern that is, how it's very detrimental to your relationship and it's very detrimental to your self-worth. But at this point, I've lost all self-worth because it's all my fault. And she's like, you didn't choose to go through this, it's not your fault. But then it actually is my fault, right? Because I have all the problems, and Jared wouldn't be going through this if it wasn't for me, right? It's true. It's true. It's all my fault. So she gave me a good stern talking to, and obviously she was like, you have to cry, you have to sit around and cry, and that's very important, but that negative self-talk is not going to get you anywhere. So she gave me a very stern talking to, and I probably needed it, but I'm not quite out of that thought pattern yet. And then I got a beautiful message from Lyndon this morning. Like, he didn't even know what I was thinking, and he sent me this message out of the blue, just saying, you're in our thoughts and prayers, and it's really important for you to understand that none of this is your fault. It's nobody's fault. This kind of stuff just happens. And I was blown away because I was just like, how did he know? But anyways, yeah, I probably need a good session with Bree. We're gonna get together on Friday, so we can hash out a few things. So, anyways, unfortunately, that's where I've been. I might feel a little bit more cold-hearted now than I was, and I probably will be more closed off the next cycle, because now I know that it may not work. I think I knew that. I knew I was like, oh, I'll probably go through all this pain and suffering, it won't even work anyways, and it was really hard to have that come to fruition. So to have to go through all that again. I have one egg that's frozen, but they are recommending that I go through another full cycle because there's only one more month of April where the IVF is going to be bulk billed, so free. So they were recommending I go through another full cycle again. The nurse said if you can gather the courage up to come back. So I was supposed to start my period so that I could go ahead and start again, and unfortunately there is absolutely no sign of my period starting. So I called the clinic today because it's been a whole week since I stopped taking the progesterone, and you know, your progesterone levels go up, and then how you have a period is your progesterone levels drop, and that's when you have your period. So I had just assumed when I stopped taking the progesterone that boom, I would start bleeding, and it never happened. So when I talked to the nurse, she was like, yeah, that's really unusual. Most women have blood by now. She said, you should have had your period. And she said, it's really unusual. And I'm like, cool, I'm unusual again. Good times. So she looked at my blood results from the day where I got the negative test, and she said, yeah, she said, your progesterone levels were really high for some reason. It's like your body thought it was pregnant when it wasn't. So she said, it must be taking you a long time for your levels to come down. And, who knows? I mean, there's only so much they can do. I might have to wait and wait and wait and wait and wait. So I have an appointment for Friday for the doctor to make a plan if my period ever comes. So I did go and see the acupuncturist today, and they have been known to be able to start periods. So today's acupuncture session was very, very painful. She put needles all through my abdomen. She put needles, these spots underneath my arms that made me nearly die. She put needles in my feet and my legs, and then she'd like twist them, and they would just send these shearing pain throughout my whole body. And it was one of the most painful sessions I've ever had. I pretty much cried through a good portion of it. But she said it should help bring on my period, but then if it doesn't, I mean, I don't know. I'm hopeful that the acupuncturist will work, but I'm kind of skeptical as well because I don't respond in the normal way. So I'm kind of curious to see if the treatment would work. I don't know, but that's what I'm waiting for. So it's just a waiting game now, just to start all over again, knowing full well that I'm probably gonna, go through another cycle, and there could be absolutely nothing in the end. So that's fun. The nurse said to me, she said, it's not unusual for your first cycle to fail. She's like, don't give up. Don't give up. It could take 7 cycles, which is about 2 years worth of trying, right? Like I mentioned before. So gotta be prepared for the long run. In the meantime, I just have to keep myself busy or I will go crazy. And radical acceptance. There's nothing I can do about it. That's it. That's the update.